Fala galera, beleza? Aqui é o Renato e estamos aqui de volta trazendo para vocês mais um jogo, mais um acesso antecipado. Galera, esse jogo já faz um tempo que ele está em acesso antecipado e a nossa parceira aqui do canal, a TinyBuild, tem sempre nos apoiado, nos ajudando e mandando as keys para nós. Eu entro em contato com eles, eles são muito solidários e sempre estão mandando a key dos jogos para nós. Então, TinyBuild, muito obrigado. Thank you very much, TinyBuild, for that opportunity. Again, it's awesome doing that work with you guys. Peace. Galerinha, então vamos lá, vamos conferir esse jogo. O nome do jogo é Not for Broadcast. Então vamos lá. Novo jogo. Informe o nome do jogo. Estranho, mas beleza, vamos lá. Gamer TV, vamos ver assim. Já que é um sistema de televisão. Cara, eu não sei bem como vai ser isso daqui, mas pelo que eu vi, basicamente isso aqui é um simulador de TV. Simulador de Rede Globo, vai. Vamos ser mais exatos aí no contexto. Ah, detalhe, o jogo está em português, cara. Isso daqui é fantástico. Dia 1, a eleição, fudeu. Estão me ligando. Arô? Vira à direita. Ah, tá. Olha!
Hi David, I have a call for you. I'm just putting it through. Alright mate, Dave here. Listen, I know you've only come in to clean up the place, but I've got a bit caught up, so you're gonna have to run the news tonight. Now don't worry, it's not hard and I'm gonna stay on the phone and help you. First, I'm gonna give you a quick tour of the broadcast room, so if you're not doing it already, look forwards towards all those screens. Right, look up at the top. That coloured bar is your audience.
Tá falando da minha audiência.
And not down. Underneath that, you've got the screens. The one on the right is the broadcast screen. That's what the viewers are seeing at home. It's only a couple of seconds behind the master screen there in the middle. That's the one you control. Now, the four small screens on the left show the different signals coming from the studio, and you can choose between them using the numbered buttons on the vision mixer at the bottom left. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it and you'll pick it up in no time. Now, have a look to your left. These plugs control everything in the studio. I've left them set up for you, so provided you haven't fiddled with them, all you have to do now is throw the master trip switch and we're in business. Once you've got the power on, face the front again.
Ok, então vamos ligar, beleza, a gente ligou tudo.
You can see on the broadcast screen that we're in the end titles for the show before us. Fortunately, they go on for fucking ages, so there's plenty of time for me to explain. Oh, right, okay, they're over, so we haven't got long now.
Oh, meu Deus.
Right, quickly, mate, look down under the desk. You can see a load of videotapes on the left. They're your adverts. Pick any three and load them into the machines on the right. When you've done that, look up to the front again.
As a team of nuclear physicists take on 4 old ladies from...
Vou deixar aqui.
That's followed at 8 p.m. by award-winning documentary series The Shape of Now, which tonight looks at the history of the knee-length sock and its importance during the Great Blackouts of 1871. Not one to miss. At 9 p.m., sit back and relax with multiple award-winning...
Ok, belezinha. Vamos voltar aqui.
Select screen 1 with the vision mixer and we're ready to go.
Prawn and mayonnaise?
You know seafood makes me go out in pustules.
Yeah, I thought it might increase our viewing figures.
Every day. You offer me prawns every day.
10 seconds, everybody. That's how I show love.
You're trying to kill me.
And yet you persist. Going 5, 4.
3, 2...
Time to join Jeremy Donaldson.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main stories tonight.
Okay.
Ah, a gente tem um delay, ó.
It's going to be to throw the news titles on screen too. There'll be a countdown, but I'll count you in as well. Just relax, mate. It's all gravy.
Buys Honest Andy's Totally Independent and corners the flowered market. Top chat. Sports fans everywhere celebrate as popular footballer Johnny Hamsleeves wins Sports Personality of the Year. And a spoonful of sugar. Megan will be chatting with movie star Lawrence Blunderclatch about his new movie, The Medicated. And, of course, we'll be going live
Olha, estamos indo bem.
to hear
Estamos ao vivo.
what the party have to say on their historic
Right, but a bit early there, mate.
National Night of News.
Next next thing is to throw back to Jeremy with button 1 when that globe in the middle shrinks down and vanishes.
Wonder Clutch on election night?
Yeah.
Eu fiz merda. Eu fiz merda. Eu botei o maluco antes do tempo.
Going in 5, 4.
Here it comes. Switch to screen 1. Lovely, mate.
But first, the votes...
Mandei bem porra nenhuma.
Listen, mate, we often get a bit of interference around this time of night, so keep your eye on the machine on the bottom right. You can move that white dot up and down, avoiding the interference using the yellow knob or your scroll wheel.
Caraca, a gente tem que mexer até na parte de interferência, velho.
being deliberately vague. The opposition parties have all conceded defeat to Advance's overwhelming mandate, but have yet to appear publicly. However,
Right, it's going well. All you've got to do now is play the advert at the end of the segment. Make sure you don't play it too early or we'll all get fired. Now the clock at the top is counting you down to the advert. When it reaches 0, press one of the 3 play ad buttons over there at the bottom right. I normally play the first one at the first break and so on, but you can play them in any order you want. I'll count you into it as well, but keep your eye on the clock.
we'll be going live to Advance HQ to hear the co-leader's acceptance speech.
And 3,
That's all coming
2, 1, advert.
1 minute back, everybody.
Jeremy, I need you to fill after the ads.
What? Why?
Wanker Snatch is running late.
Oh,
Thought I'd ask him about the election.
personally, I wouldn't try to confuse him with any big words.
That's the same policy we use with you.
I thought that was our little secret.
Uou, que merda, velho. Estamos apresentando o Jornal Nacional e a gente tá vendo as merda, velho.
Wicked, we made it to the first ad break. You're doing great, mate. But this is where it starts getting a bit trickier. This next sequence is what we call a multicam sequence, because you're going to be cutting between multiple cameras to keep things interesting. A lot of it's down to personal taste, but here's 3 good rules of thumb.
Ok.
1. Try and keep the shot on whoever is doing the talking. 2. Don't stay on the same shot for too long. 10 seconds at the most. So if you're on the person who's talking, try and throw in the odd reaction shot or pull out to the wide shot for a bit just to keep it interesting. 3. Don't stay on reaction shots for too long. A couple of seconds is usually enough. Then the audience want to see who's doing the talking, yeah? Stick to these rules and you'll be fine. It's not as complicated as
Ok, não é difícil. Beleza, vamos seguir.
Make it look like those. Might as well get screen 1 selected now. No need to wait for the broadcast to start. Try and stay ahead, mate.
We're coming back from the break. Quiet in the studio.
Thank you so much.
10 seconds, everybody.
Vai, vamos lá. 5,
5,
4, 3, 2...
Welcome back to the National Nightly News. Later, we'll be hearing from shock election winners Advance. But first
Get
off,
ready to go to Megan on screen 4.
is here with a star of both stage and screen. Megan?
Thank you, Jeremy. Megan Wolf, culture correspondent.
Ó, fomos bem, hein?
I have a guest who starred in everything from Shakespeare
Right,
to
go
the
to Blunderclatch on screen 3 when she says his name.
by none other than Lawrence Blunderclatch. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my dear, I do hope you believe me when I tell you that being with you here today is a moment...
Switch to 2 for the wide now.
May I say, having you here with us is among ours.
Right, now just try and stay on whoever's talking.
Latest movie, which is called The Medicated.
The medicated? Yes.
Wow, what was that like?
Well, as I said to Peter at the Rat, that's Peter Jensen, the director.
Give us a look at Megan's reaction. Lovely. Now back to Thunder Twat.
I've worked with him on several movies, all terribly successful. I said to Peter, what a wild ride this has been. And you know what, Megan? I really meant that.
Wow, that is fantastic. And am I right in saying that the character you play in this movie is quite an academic one?
Absolutely right. A scientist.
Was that a challenge at all?
What exactly are you implying? But seriously, yes, you're right. It was a complete departure from my last starring role when I played Sergeant Brock Rockman in Bullet Man. You'll remember that that was the true story of one soldier's fight for a love that surpasses all others. A love, of course, for freedom. I think it's grossed over $1 billion, but honestly, who's counting?
It's a role that's
Tamo indo bem. Tamo indo bem, parça.
If I remember correctly.
It's so sweet of you to mention it, but I really am not in it for the awards, although those 3 little statues do take pride of place on my mantelpiece.
With all the others, I'm sure. So, if you're not doing it for the awards, what is it then that drives you?
That is a beautiful question, Megan, and not easy to answer. Like you, I'm afraid. Cut me, and I will bleed. And often, that's how it feels, doesn't it?
Been on that shot a bit long.
Bleeding. Giving.
Remember the 10-second rule.
I suppose in the end, I do it for the difference it makes.
A gente quase ferrou tudo, cara.
That I inspire. The little people. But most of all, I think I do it for the positive change.
Audience is getting bored, mate.
And today, of course, we're in for some real change, it looks like, in the coming few months. What do you make of this historic election result?
Oh, well. Well, now you're asking. Historic election result. Indeed. Historic is the word. Well, difficult, isn't it? Very difficult.
Bem difícil.
Up a bit, eh?
I've always been quite clear that when it
Give us
comes
a
to
reaction
politics,
shot.
one should always strive to not fuck things up.
Shit, he swore. Oh, well, don't worry, he won't do it again.
Sorry, I said fuck.
Shit, he did it again. Okay, don't panic. I'll explain how to deal with swearing at the
Forma
break.
Medicated, which opens next week.
Right,
around
they've swapped the shot of Jeremy on screen 1 for a VT of the movie clip. You'll get a countdown on the screen, but I'll just let Megan cue you in.
My character, Dr. Lods Hemlock, is faced with a decision that could affect humanity's very survival.
Exciting stuff. Let's take a look. Exciting stuff.
Boa.
Watch out for that
Tamo indo bem.
Doctor.
I don't understand it.
Oh, looks like Blunder Clatch is losing it in the studio.
Eita,
What
nós.
he's saying, but don't switch to it now. You can go to the...
Mano, todo mundo, tipo, basicamente a gente tá vendo os bastidores da parada.
No, Lance, we mustn't.
Dr. Lance to you, Miss Flanagan.
Eita!
Did it for you, baby. All for you.
Dr. Hemlock.
I'm gonna change the world, you remember? Only I listen to you.
Calma, calma, a gente não perdeu ninguém.
I'm drowning, Lance, you said.
You need to see this.
Pô, o William Bonner vai ficar puto com nós, mano.
Look at this!
The virus. The sterility. This folder. This is the key.
Stop it.
At the end of the clip, you'll want to play another ad. Remember to use the clock at the top to count you in.
Ok.
We should.
Ok, a gente vai usar um Edge aqui.
Right, I guess I better explain how to deal with
Boa.
bleeping out swear words. As you've probably noticed, the broadcast screen, here, is about 2 seconds behind the master.
Sim, a gente já aprendeu isso.
When someone says a naughty word, the bleep button lights up, like this. 2 seconds later, you'll hear that swear word going out on the broadcast, and you need to hold down the bleep button or the spacebar on your keyboard for as long as the swear word lasts. It can take a bit of practice getting used to hearing 2 things at once. Just stay calm and you'll get it. And if you can't tell when to bleep, just above the button, you'll literally be able to see the sound scrolling by. All you got to do is hold it down while the red bit is over the red line. Simple. Of course, if you do it by eye, you'll have to take your eye off the screens. That's why real professionals do it by ear. Most people like to have
Caraca,
the
mano.
screen a little bit below the master screen. Let's set it now. As you turn it up, you'll hear the advert getting louder.
Remain.
Good. You're set to start censoring. Like I say, it takes a little practice, but I'll try and help you through it, and soon we'll have you bleeping like a pro. Remember, button lights up, count 1, 2, and hold it down.
That's right. Absolutely.
Ok.
Select screen 1 now that you've got the feed. Don't wait for the broadcast to go live.
Vamos lá, vamos lá, vamos lá, vamos lá. A gente vai voltar.
Number buttons.
William Bonner, é com nós.
Seriously, Padworth.
Bora, bora, bora.
4, 3.
Welcome back. And I'm told we can now go live to advance headquarters, where the two leaders, Peter Clement and Julia Salisbury, are about to make their acceptance.
Caraca, velho, o som sai dublado, velho.
To the outside broadcast.
Go for it, Pat.
Get ready to
Go
bleed.
for it, Pat.
Thank you all for coming, and, well, thank you all
Where
for
do
coming,
I start?
and, well, what a
Where
day.
do I start? They said we couldn't do it.
They certainly
said we
They
couldn't
used
do it.
every
dirty
low-down
liar, every southern bastard trick they had against southern bastard trick they had against us. Right through their shack.
I'm sorry about the language.
Sorry about that.
Sorry
about that.
Meu Deus, fodeu.
Coarser than the granny's fanny. Coarser than the...
Memorably put.
Put it down a bit
But to be
longer,
honest,
mate.
who can blame Peter for celebrating? Throughout the campaign, you've heard us say that advance are not a political party. Advance are not a party is what you have when things are going well. A party is what you have when things are going well. Suffering. You don't need a party. You need a party. A team that can change things. A team that can change. But today is day one of a new future. A better, fairer future. A better. So perhaps we should all be celebrating.
Except for the rich. For them the party's over. They shouldn't be celebrating. They should be putting their shitting pants on and up in their dusty checkbooks. On and up in their dusty checkbooks.
Boa, boa, boa. Conseguimos.
Get on the speaker, mate.
Before we came out here to address the nation, we used our executive powers to pass the Assets and Wealth Act. Working with the Wealth Office, we have produced a definitive list of every person in the country with wealth into the millions.
You know this. Probably you rather you don't. Because the likes of you and me are not welcome in their gated community.
Tomorrow we will be introducing a sweeping reform of the
Tamo indo bem, tamo indo bem.
No more hiding wealth offshore, no more hiding wealth funds or creative accounting. Trust funds or creative accounting. Fairer, unavoidable set of tax laws.
So all you bastard public school snobs have got nowhere to hide.
Boa, a gente tá indo bem, mano. Mano, nós tá on fire no bagulho.
We revoke you want them back. You want to leave like you threatened before the election. That's fine. That's fine. You're going to pay first. You're going to pay back.
Advance are going to turn this country from a nation of warring individuals to properly fund health and education, to raise the living standards of us all.
The pundits said we'd have to raise billions. You'll see when we reclaimed what's ours.
Caraca, essa eleição vai ser muito louca, velho.
So to you posh twats,
the people who pay you a pittance to serve them drinks in their private homes, the people whose children you raise,
so they've got time to get even. So they've got time to get even.
Advance have this to say to you. Advance have this to say to you. We are coming for your sports cars and your mansions and your vineyards.
It ends today.
We will put the wealth of this country back. We will put the wealth of this country back in the hands of the people who created it. In the hands of the people who created it.
Today.
Yes. It ends today. It ends and tomorrow today. We'll start making it fair again. We'll start making it like we promised we would.
And until then, ladies and gents, I suggest we all get pissed.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. Thank you for your time.
Well, interesting acceptance speech there. Interesting acceptance speech there. And our apologies for the fruity language. And our apologies for the language out for you in time.
Caraca, velho, controlar o jornal tá zica, velho.
Someone's going to be in trouble. So, as the country braces itself for new government, that's all from us this evening at the National Nightly News. That's all from us this evening. We'll be back tomorrow with full coverage of the first day under advance. With full coverage of the first day. I'm Jeremy Dawson. Have a peaceful. I'm Jeremy Dawson. Have a peaceful.
Looks like you've got it now. Thanks for all the help, mate.
Conseguimos, mano. E mantemos a audiência, velho.
Boring politics, then?
This is some weird food dream. Am I dying?
Well, we're not sure, but here in St. Bumby on the Taint, we've got a big hill and the bus comes twice daily.
Not going for a drink?
No, got a date.
Visit picturesque
Try not to get murdered.
and experience a holiday that's...
Boa, malandro. Terminamos, cara. Jornal Nacional foi zica, velho. Olha lá, nota C, mano. Observação, até que a censura não foi tão mal. Interferência demais. Que edição terrível. Cara, dá um desconto, eu sou estagiário, velho.
Alright, mate, I've left you a voicemail. I thought you'd end up here. Most people come into the archive room when they're done with a broadcast. That way you can see what you did and how it looked to the public. As you can see, there's 3 sections to the archive. Broadcasts, that's what you've put out. Rushes, which is all the stuff that was on all the screens. And adverts, which is any advert that you've chosen to show. So let's have a look at the broadcasts.
Tá bom, vamos dar uma olhada nas transmissões.
Broadcasts that you've done. You can also get to hear from the main menu if you don't actually want to do a broadcast, you just want to see some of your past work. Select any of those and click load tape. Why not watch what you just did? When you're done, hit back.
Well, in a few moments, we'll be going live to tonight's national nightly news. But before that, let's take a look at what's coming up later on tonight on Channel 1. At 7 o'clock, it's the semi-final of the quotation game, and it's a nail-biting quiz
tonight. Tá bom, eu não tô a fim de ver o que a gente transmitiu, então a gente vai...
Okay, these 4 screens, they're exactly the same as the 4 screens that feed you the studio signal when you're doing the actual news. Of course, the difference here is you can mute any screen you like or any combination of screens, and you can have a listen to what was going on behind the scenes. Just select any segment, that's any bit between ad breaks over on the left, and hit play. When you're done checking out the backstage secrets, hit back.
Prawn and mayonnaise?
You know seafood makes me come out in pustules.
Yeah, I thought it might increase our viewing figures.
Every day. You offer me prawns every day.
10 seconds, everybody.
Beleza, tá. Os anúncios. Ah, beleza, vamos continuar. Cara, bizarrão, velho. Mas ao mesmo tempo da hora demais, mano. Dia 3, formulário inesperado. Ih, rapaz. Você chega em casa e encontra a correspondência do capacho, no capacho. A maioria não é nada em lixo normal, no entanto, uma chama sua atenção. A equipe quer conhecer você. A curiosidade é aguçada e você abre a carta. É o formulário do governo do Advanced, pedindo informações de todos os cidadãos. A primeira página já está preenchida. Seu nome... Caraca! O resto de perguntas estão em branco para você responder. Parece que são obrigatórias. Ao começar um trabalho novo, você amigar... caraca, velho. Me sinto numa entrevista de emprego agora. Um colega de outro departamento confidencia com você que estão levando informações confidenciais para casa. Agora um arquivo de pouca importância desapareceu. O que você faria? Nossa, eu vou ajudar a encobrir. Nossa, agora que eu li errado. Hoje, um departamento não tem como voltar. Todo foi demitido por mau desempenho geral. Seu chefe estabeleceu novos objetivos que são significativos, maioria que os anteriores. Você deixa o trabalho na hora certa, fica até mais tarde para garantir que o primeiro prazo seja cumprido, deixa o trabalho mais cedo e vai para o bar com os colegas. Mais tarde para garantir que o primeiro prazo seja cumprido, pô. É o churrasco anual da empresa. Ê, moleque, você e sua família foram convidados. Vocês estarão ocupados tirando as pulgas do cachorro. Participação se não houver nenhum compromisso, mas tudo bem se não puderem ir. Estão treinando em casa para vender o show de calouros desse ano. Estou ansioso para passar um bom dia com amigos e famílias. Você teve uma carreira longa e bem-sucedida. Agora está prestes a se apresentar em seu discurso todas as suas conquistas e todas as boas lembranças de quando trabalhou ali. Faz uma avaliação honesta dos pós e contras. Beleza, né? Esse aqui, tá. No seu tempo livre, você gosta... Montar quebra-cabeça, velho. Eu vou colocar que eu apoio os meus filhos. Já que eu tenho filhos, suas férias ideal seriam... Local, um dia que planeja num parque, uma escapada romântica... essa daqui. E mais importante, que o governo mantenha as pessoas. felizes, velho. Se o povo não estiver feliz, fodeu. Agradecemos, beleza, minha assinatura. Caraca, moleque, a gente foi contratado agora. Já não sou mais faxineiro, velho. Oh, meu Deus. E as crianças já foram dormir. Você está secando sua xícara favorita. Alguém bota na janela, trazendo você de volta à realidade. Verde está... Tá bom. Você deve ter visto essa loucura toda do Advanced, né? A tal lei de bens e riqueza estão chamando assim. Eles estão tomando todo o dinheiro arduamente conquistado para patrocinar os vagabundos. Isso é para cretinice, tá bom? Porque estou com a sensação de que não vou gostar do que está por vir. País, tudo bem, eu guardo lá em cima no cofre, vou lá pegar e você leva. Tenho certeza de que deve haver outra maneira, não pode ser tão sério assim. Ok, não sei bem. Cara, pelo que eu entendi, o bagulho ali foi zica, mas eu acho que o cara queria vazar do país, mano. Eu não vou ajudar, não vou ser humilhante, velho. As consequências. Vamos lá, então. Me ligaram.
Let's get set up and get on with it, eh? So I can get back to my guests. First of all, let's get the power on. You need to get at least the bottom 4 plugs on.
Tudo ligado. Ah.
Right, let's load up the adverts. You might want to have a bit of a think about it. Your decisions have consequences, don't they?
Podemos brincar? Esse brinquedo é seguro. Não entendi muito bem, mas... O brinquedo que seu filho tem que ganhar neste Natal. Tá bom. Agora que eu vi, novo e elegante creme facial com um toque suíno, meu Deus, cara. O espetacular efeito de joy festivo do Nil Maluco. Nil Maluco, cara. Pô, isso aqui vai ser fenomenal.
Right, you can see they finally got the old headline system up and working again, and the vision mixer's already in headline mode because headlines always come at the start. It's really simple, mate. These 2 buttons at the bottom of the vision mixer, you can see they now have A and B on them.
Ok, beleza.
Image A on the left bottom screen here, or image B on the right bottom screen.
Tá, beleza.
It's really simple. This little clock here will count down the number of seconds you have to make your decision. Provided you make a decision in that time, you're fine. And you can change your mind as much as you want until the clock reaches 0. But if you don't make any decision, you'll be fired before you even get to make another choice.
Ok, vamos botar então.
One more thing, mate. The pictures you choose to show of these people, well, that's how the public is going to perceive them, and that's going to affect their lives. So, like with the adverts, choose carefully. And we're off. Good night, mate. If I get time, I'll call you back in the next break. Yeah, I'm coming, darling.
That's the bastard.
Ok, vamos lá, vamos botar o William Bonner de novo na transmissão.
Is this challenge who thinks dogs have their own secret language?
Yeah, the one that mistrusts the moon. 10 seconds, everybody.
Not the best source of consumer advice, then.
Don't blame me when it explodes. Going in 5, 4, 3.
It's time to go over to Jeremy Donaldson for tonight's National
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main headlines tonight. Destination unknown. At the end of Advance's first full week in office, we ask exactly who's leading this charge. Tonight, I'll be discussing what the new future might hold with a leading economist and radical free thinker. With the country's wealth creators in a state of panic and unfavourable rumblings already heard from overseas, I'll be asking my guests whether Advance can deliver on even a fraction of their manifesto promises. Out with the old, Remington's Fist have appointed Sophia Remington as their new CEO. The following photo, taken from our archive, gives us a sense of this influential young firebrand who, at the tender age of 23, becomes the youngest female CEO in history. Sophia Remington.
Ah, tá. Eu posso foder o jornal ou posso dar bom. Entendi.
And graduated with the highest honors, immediately being asked back to lecture. The markets have responded favorably to Sophia's appointment, with stocks rising 30 points in light of the announcement. In her first press conference this afternoon, Sophia announced a children's toy named Mr. Snugglehearts. Sophia promises it'll be all the rage this Christmas, but concerns have been raised about the product's safety. Making a splash. Intrepid scientist Dr. David Wong and marine biologist Ingrid Swarsborg-Horgensford have today set off to explore Dante's taint. The recently discovered cave system was previously thought unreachable, but thanks to a new breakthrough in underwater flower technology, the pair hope to successfully reach the imposing central cavern and the undiscovered plant species it contains. This is, of course, only the latest in a series of successful expeditions.
Por enquanto estamos bem, estamos subindo com a audiência, cara. Eu tenho que prestar atenção para saber qual que é o bagulho certo que eu tenho que fazer.
The plentiful challenges together, like we always have. Playing the field. Rumours abound as sporting legend Johnny Hamsleaves is snapped leaving Bush, one of the capital's hottest clubs. The footballer was caught while out celebrating being named Sports Personality of the Year last week, as reported by this very program. Johnny is seen here with socialite and performance artist Tiffany Lamore, whose recent show...
Beleza, escolhi a foto certa. Apesar que eu queria muito foder o jornal. Galera, vamos fazer o seguinte. O primeiro a gente fez os bagulhos certinho. Esse aqui a gente vai sacanear geral.
Grievous bodily charm. With advance promising a radical new position on crime, how afraid should we actually be? I'll be going live around the country to talk with people who've seen the criminal justice system from every perspective. With more and more people saying they're scared to walk the streets alone at night, could this be exactly the right time for Advance's new approach? All that and mega more for a group of young actors already experiencing the positive side of the new Assets and Wealth Act firsthand. They'll be talking and performing later. That's all coming up on tonight's National Nightly News.
Andamos bem. Eu vou manter aqui porque ele vai ter interferência. Caraca, velho, uma interferenciazinha e a audiência do jornal já foi pro caceta, velho.
In the wake of the government's swift enactment of the Assets and Wealth Act, we're talking about Advance's first week in office and what the new future holds. Joining me are Katie Brightman, a leading economist, and Alan James, author of Alan James is Right, The Free Man's Guide to Waking Up. Alan, the government certainly haven't dragged their heels on delivering some of the legislation they promised. But what does the Wealth Act mean for us?
Nothing, Jeremy. We're still vassal slaves, we're just in prettier cages.
A confident dismissal there. Katie Brightman, do you agree?
I'm afraid I don't, no. I think that Advance have realised that the current economic system of unlimited, unending growth is untenable, so they're changing things up.
Caraca, velho, tá caindo muito o bagulho.
The next steps in the grand plan.
Grand plan, Alan?
It's all in my book. Alan James is right, Jeremy. We're to become the great herd, ignorant, sterile, and short-lived. That's what they want.
Or perhaps Advance have just realised that if we carry on the way we will destroy ourselves and this planet in a mad orgy of consumption, if you'll excuse the colourful metaphor.
Yes, orgy is the right word. Only it'll be the overlords having
Vamos lá, cara, temos que...
broken backs. It's all in my book. Alan James is...
Shamelessly self-promoting? Katie, how do you think the rest of the world will respond to this new approach?
I think they're watching carefully. Advance are the most disruptive threat that the world powers have faced since the last...
Vai ser uma zona isso aqui.
He's right. War is inevitable.
Thank you, but that isn't
And
what
this will not be a war like we've ever seen before. We're talking millions of deaths. We're talking high-tech weapons that can level entire cities.
Ela tá putaça, véi!
Mock me all you like, Jeremy.
A gente faz mais que jornal, velho. Pior audiência que a gente já teve. Porra, Bonner.
That might be a great way to sell books, Alan, but you know full well that isn't going to happen in a democracy.
Democracy is dead.
Yes, Advance are radical, and change is always frightening, but the truth is that the Wealth and Assets Act has made more than 90% of the population wealthier, and is on target to produce a permanent...
Bollocks! What What this young lady doesn't understand, Jeremy, is that these are the same people. Maybe they've rebranded, but it's all a little circus.
Ela tá putaça, mano.
Behind the curtain.
That's where you're wrong, Alan. For a start, they've mobilised the youth vote like we've never seen before.
You say mobilise, I call it grooming. The grooming of an entire generation to walk happily into eternal bondage. They're like psychic paedophiles.
But based on the facts, Katie, what are your positions?
The Assets and Wealth Act is only the first step. Advance now have a historic budgetary surplus, and as well as properly funding our public services, they're already funneling unprecedented amounts into scientific research and the arts.
Or, as I call them in my book, Frankenscience and opiates. Like opiates. See?
Can we get back to the issue at hand, please, Alan?
This is the issue. It's all coming from the water, the chemicals, they're pumping it full of belief juice.
Don't get me wrong, I want to see these changes, but only if they're sustainable. If Advance lose their power after spending half of our GDP on dismantling infrastructure, that could be catastrophic.
The catastrophe is that they're succeeding. They've got us sat here talking about their puppet show.
Quickly, Alan. All right, we're running out of time. What does the future look like to you?
A bleak space where we've all been figuratively sodomized into submission.
No, of course. Katie?
We might be on the eve of a brave new world. God knows we need some change, but we need to be cautious. Let's walk forwards with our eyes open.
Two very different visions of the future there. Alan James, Katie Brightman, thank you for joining me. When we come back, I'll be investigating law and order before Megan...
Ok, a gente vai colocar então...
That's all coming up tonight on the National Nightly News.
1 minute back.
You know, I think they might do some good.
I hope so too, Jeremy.
How's it going, actually? Fuck it, I don't care, I hate the fucking news. Oh, bloody hell, I love this tune, though. All right, mate, see you later, bye!
Well, I don't know what she meant by that.
Ok, não sai no... Caraca, de novo a gente tá passando esse comercial do Nil Maluco, velho. Tem como... A gente não tem como avançar, né?
I'm just saying I'll do what I can, that's all.
Oh shit, you will.
Já dá pra colocar?
I've said I put a word in, that's all I can do.
Ainda não.
10 seconds, everybody. Little JD scared of the big bad culture with butter.
If that sticks, I'll just...
5, 4, 3...
In our second segment, we're going to be taking a deep dive. Once I've already tasked with the solutions team to move this serious social problem to the top of the list. Tonight, we go behind the headlines. System every day of their lives. First up, we have close up on the front line. Can you hear me, Gregory?
Yes, I've got you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
What's it like on the front line of the hard face of the cold hand of justice?
Well, as you can imagine, Jeremy, we are massively understaffed in this country. We're working every hour we can just to try and cope.
A gente tem que Mano, o objetivo é ferrar com o bagulho aqui. Pera aí. Deixa eu ver aqui. Pá. Pá. Eita!
There simply isn't enough being done at a systemic level to relieve the problem.
Greg?
We need more support from ministers. We need change at a structural level,
I'm
Jeremy.
leaving, Greg.
Not a good time, darling.
It never is it? I'll be at my mother's.
Just hang on.
Ih, rapaz, ó.
The problem isn't a local one, Jeremy. It's nationwide. Just give me 5 minutes. I'm talking to Jeremy Donaldson.
Oh, have you mentioned your affairs?
No. Well, the affairs...
Ficou legal, velho.
Hello, Mr. Donaldson.
Hello, Mrs. Judge.
We need legislation to relieve the pressure on our public
Sorry
servants.
to interrupt the news, Mr. Donaldson. Can I have a moment to tell my husband I'm leaving him?
Yes, I totally understand. Quite the picture of a burdened legal sector there. Gregory Judge, thank you for joining us.
I cannot believe you, Ellen. I would have expected this from your sister, but not from you.
When are you going to realize...
O maluco tá traindo com a irmã. Você foi... A gente foi demitido. Não fizemos um trabalho bom de jornalismo, cara. Isso eu posso dizer. Galerinha, com essa falha de transmissão, eu vou encerrar o vídeo por aqui. Galera, muito obrigado por terem assistido. Novamente, muito obrigado a TinyBuild por ter enviado esse jogo para nós, cara. Me diverti horrores com isso daqui, galera. E quem quiser, o jogo está disponível na Steam, cara. É jogo indie, não deve ser caro. E, mano, pelo que eu tô vendo aqui, qualquer PCzinho roda, beleza? Galera, muito obrigado aí. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Eu vou ficando por aqui. Tchau e até o próximo vídeo.